younger age groups, it's 4 metres for the European under-20s and 4:05 for the under-23s. So, from the women's 4 hurdles to the men. We turn our attention to Heat A. In theory, the action will be in the centre lanes, but watch out as well for Pesic on the outside. 55.91 is PB. He just hasn't registered a season's best so far this year. 25 times a national champion and director of track and field and cross country at Queen's University Charlotte. So here we take you through the lineup. Outside in these days. Took us a little while to get used to that at the beginning. And there is Dragan Pesic, Montenegrin, national junior record holder for 4 hurdles back in 2012. Now, what kind of shape is he in this season? On paper, he's one of the fastest in the field. So is this guy, Javid Mammadov. Mammadov won the B race 2 years ago. He's 30 years of age. Lane 7. Levan Kvaratskhelia of Georgia, PB in April for that 58.25. Idraj, national champion for the 110 and the 400 hurdles over the last couple of years. He was 3rd in the B race 2 years ago. Ivicic, brilliant decathlete, national champion in 22 and 23. Aramyan, 6th in the B race 2 years ago. And Bekteshi of Kosovo will be nearest the inside. We're not using lane 1. So when you see the athlete closest to the inside, that will be Bekteshi in lane 2. So Bekteshi, Kosovo 2, Aramyan, Armenia 3, Ivicic of Bosnia-Herzegovina in 4, Idraj of Albania 5, Kvaratskhelia of Georgia 6, Mammadov, Azerbaijan in 7, and Pesic of Montenegro in 8. So, what kind of form does Pesic bring into this season? He's on the outside, 55.91 at his best, but we haven't seen him yet in 2025. First of 2 finals for the men's 4 hurdles. 3rd division European Athletics Team Championships. Live from Slovenia. Ooh, now then. Well, the Georgian, Kvaratskhelia, carried on running a little further and a little quicker than the rest, but I have to admit, to the naked eye, I couldn't spot where the infraction came, if indeed there was one.
Yes, I'd echo that, Rob. Really hard to spot with the naked eye. That recall sun, though, was quite alarming, wasn't it? It was almost like someone had had a break-in somewhere. It sort of sounded like of a burglar alarm, but certainly would have got the athlete's attention, which is the aim.
Yeah, or someone had set their phone alarm because they didn't want to miss a flight. Anyway.
Missed the start of a race.
I'm not sure. Cameras are focusing in on Ivicic, Decathlon national champion the last couple of years. He's in really good form. Thank goodness. It's faulty rather than false. And call me old-fashioned. I hate to see somebody turn up for a massive event representing their country and be DQ'd before they've had an opportunity to show everybody what they're made of. And I know, rules are rules, but anyway. That's to many people's relief. So Bekteshi, Kosovo in 2, Aramyan of Armenia 3, Ivicic, Bosnia-Herzegovina in 4, Idraj of Albania 5, Kvaratskhelia, Georgia 6, Mammadov, Azerbaijan in 7, and Pesic, Montenegro in 8. 2 quick men on the outside, but Mammadov and Pesic have not competed yet this year. And watch for the Bosnian athlete in lane 4. First of 2 heats, men's 4 hurdles. Oh no. Now, Mammadov was throwing his arms up in the air there in lane 7 as if to say, oh, come on guys, for goodness sakes. not happy, and neither is Aramyan. I must admit, a bit like the last one, I couldn't spot that, and they're all hovering around the replay board to try and get a better look. Tension grows here.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's not unusual to have a faulty start early in the competition, that we have just had 2 track races before this, so could also be that we'll see another green card because it was an issue with the start itself, or a fault, as you said.
Well, the crowd are in the mood with Sweet Caroline, but it's eyes firmly on the job in hand here for these world-class men and women. And these guys will be feeling a flutter of nerves. So, where is our official going? Well, he looks quite relaxed. I don't think that's the face of someone who's about to DQ an athlete, and I very much hope that's another green one. Now, we couldn't see the flag that was waved, but okay, a warning. Lucky boy, Bekteshi, the Kosovan based in Pristina. He's only 21 years of age. He is not disqualified. He has been given a yellow card warning. So, my goodness me, let's see if we can get this race off, shall we? Bekteshi, Kosovo with the yellow card in 2. Aramyan of Armenia 3. Ivicic of Bosnia-Herzegovina in 4. Idrijar of Albania 5. Karaskalia, Georgia 6. Mammadov waving his arms around in annoyance. There he is, second from the outside. And Dragan Pesic. Keep your eye on that man there, Ivicic, 21 years of age. He's in really good form, close to PB. He goes in 4. The fastest men in the field on paper are on the outside, Mammadov in 7 and Pesic in 8. But we have not seen them race this year yet. Ivicic is a brilliant decathlete. So he's in 4. Mammadov in 7, Pesic 8. Surely we can get this 4 hurdles going this time, can't we?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me, I actually can't believe that. And now Mammadov isn't the only one putting his arms in the air. So Bekteshi got a yellow card. The Kosovan in lane 2. That was in the second attempt to get the race underway, and I'm glad Idraj is able to see the funny side. Wow. Right, let's have another look here, shall we? Again, whatever that is, Alex, that's marginal, I would say. I couldn't see that. Once again, I couldn't see that to the naked eye.
Yeah, well, from that angle, there isn't really a clear view of Bekteshi. He's just around the corner. It's possible it could be his infraction again, but we just have to wait to see what the officials do once again. There is a reaction time graphic, I believe, that has come up on the result sheet showing fastest reaction time for Dragan Pesic, who was on the outside there. But again, it's now over to the officials, really, as to whether maybe they would show him a yellow card, or we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, plenty of tension. This is the opening track event for men. We've had the women's 4 hurdles. Thoroughly enjoyable. Fairly experienced Mammadov, who won the B race 2 years ago. He's just sitting on his blocks, minimum energy wasted. Idrizaj trying to stay focused. The Kosovan, Bekteshi, already on a yellow.
If the reaction time is accurate here, then it could be an issue for Dragan Pesic, certainly on the outside. Less than 0.1 seconds is shown on the graphic on the result system.
Well,
and you can find that result system on European Athletics site.
Yes, and if that is the case, that is a false start. Quicker than 0.1 of a second is a false start. Now, we've got a red and a yellow, and there's a purposeful stride on that official. So is he indeed going right the way to the outside, to the Montenegrin? I think he might be, but what card is he going to show? Is it going to be yellow or is it going to be red? Oh, well, is it? Oh, that is such a shame. Pesic arguing his point here. I wonder whether he will try and run under protest. Some athletes do. Even if they run a PB, if the disqualification is retrospectively upheld, their PB doesn't count. But Pesic is a 25-time national champion. He's got national titles at 400, 4 hurdles, high jump, long jump, discus, javelin, and the decathlon. And he is the director of track and field at Queen's University Charlotte, so he's got a massive amount of experience. So he must feel, Alex, as though he's got grounds to make his case here.
Absolutely, you can see it came as a surprise for him, but it's hard to argue your case when the reaction time has come up as 0.048 seconds. Pesic, who we saw at the European Championships throw the discus, I seem to remember, barefoot. He's also in the pole vault at these championships, so if this disqualification did indeed see him unable to start, as we suspect, and he's not able to argue his case or whatever the case may be, then he would still be in the pole vault later. I know that may not seem like a consolation to him or his team now, but I sometimes feel it is when an athlete is also in another event. Let's have another look here, Rob.
Well, I think Pesic was arguing as if he was trying to confirm that his fingers were behind the line. They were, certainly judging by that replay, but quicker than 0.1 off the blocks is judged to be an official false start. I remember when Devon Allen was disqualified on the home World Championships for the United States, and he had started 0.99. 1/1000th of a second too quick, and he argued his case, but it was too late and he was disqualified. By the way, if you want to get up to date with all the results quickly as possible, European-athletics.com. And Ola, one of our colleagues, has got fabulous content on the European Athletics Instagram Stories channel. Great reels she has been posting. Right, so there was a green card floated in front of the face of Dragan Pesic, so I do believe he is going to take his place in the starting lineup. My goodness me, I can't remember too many races that have taken this long to start. Bekteshi, Kosovo, 2, yellow card. Aramyan, Armenia, 3. Ivicic, the brilliant decathlete, Bosnia-Herzegovina, in 4. Idrijaj, Albania, 5. Karavatskalia, Georgia, 6. Mammadov, Azerbaijan, 7. And Dragan Pesic, who seems, the Montenegrin, to have survived the disqualification. He has been shown a green card. And surely this time, everybody, can we get the first heat of the men's 4 hurdles underway? We're watching in theory for lanes 7 and 8, but watch for that decathlete Ivicic of Bosnia-Herzegovina in lane 4.
Dead.
Right, this time at last we are away. Fairly even to the first hurdle, maybe Pesic pulling away from Mammadov on the extreme left of picture, just a fraction. Karavatskalia doing really well, closing down on Mammadov. The Georgian is third from the left-hand side. No move yet from Ivicic, third from the right-hand side, second from bottom right now. Now, maybe Karavatskalia of Georgia. Is he beginning to run out of steam? Pesic is. He's had a little look on his inside, and Mammadov is coming. Clattered that hurdle, Pesic, on the extreme left of picture. Could be a good duel, this one. Pesic now digging in, finding a little bit of a gap, and he's clattered that hurdle as well. Karavatskhelia is closing really quickly and takes it just on the line. What a race! Karavatskhelia of Georgia looked like he just left it too late, but I think Pesic was closed and beaten on the line by the Georgian. Mamedov just began to struggle towards the very end of the race, and yeah, by 500ths, it is Karavatskhelia from Pesic and Mamedov. And I wonder how much the disruption at the start played on the mind of Dragan Pesic as he ended up finishing in second place. But what a run to the line by the Georgian from lane 6.
Well, that's extraordinary, Rob. It's a personal best by just over 2 seconds. It was 58.25 compared to Pesic's best of 55.91. So you wouldn't have put that result the way it's ended up. In any case, I had been about to say, if Pesic had held on, that maybe that issue at the start had really pushed him to make the most of the opportunity to actually be in the race. But he did clatter the last couple of hurdles, a bit of a messy finish after committing initially early on. So we're looking at Karavatskhelia just there, third from the left in the black and white Georgian vest. Made a good start. He had on his outside there, you can see Mamedov of Azerbaijan, who eventually ended up in third place with a season's best time. But again, he was another athlete who was much faster on paper at sub 56 seconds. But yes, we can see big chunks taken off personal best in this sort of event. The hurdle come down there. It looked like Pesic still wasn't too phased by it, but it was that excellent final sprint of Karavatskhelia coming across the line here fantastically well.
And assisted in no small part by his gigantic frame. As those strides carried him towards the line, he closed the gap and outdipped his rival, 2 on his outside. Well, I think it was worth waiting for in the end. Well, Karavatskhelia, the Georgian, came through like a steam train. Pesic hit a couple of hurdles, one coming into the home straight and the very last one, and it cost him. Mamedov, who won the B race last time out, is third this time. A couple of PBs in that one. Cracking race. And Heat B is still to come.
Yes, that will follow up shortly. Obviously, we will be a little bit behind schedule, but I'm sure we'll try and make up some of that time. Obviously, the full timetable available on the European Athletics website, along with some quite interesting articles, including previewing the whole competition itself, looking ahead to the second and indeed the first division, which obviously the latter coming up in Madrid this weekend. And here in Maribor, we will have the second division featuring our hosts, Slovenia, and we expect to feature the likes of Christian Che, the discus star. So I'm sure that there'll be a good crowd in for that here in Maribor, which, yes, the biggest event in Slovenian athletics history, even if Maribor itself has hosted some pretty big football games. The local team, famously, it's been a really difficult place to go, such as the way the cliche goes. But yeah, Liverpool have come here in the Champions League in recent years. Even Birmingham City getting a win just over a decade ago. So Maribor certainly a sporting city, even if some of the biggest events in Slovenian history, from a track and field point of view, have been in Ljubljana and Valencia.
One or two a little bit embarrassed to be featured on the big screen. Don't worry, ladies, that's the price of fame. Great to see so many young athletes being given their first taste of senior international competition. I think this has been really good so far, Alex, because some people say, well, you know, Division 3, it's not overly glamorous, there's a big range in abilities, but we've seen some cracking action, and there will be hundreds, literally hundreds of PBs between the start of this 4 days here in Slovenia and the end of Division 2 at the weekend. Good dancers, aren't they?
Yeah. So this then is the B race, or the faster race of the men's 400 meter hurdles. coming right up. And yeah, don't forget the women's competition. We saw that 4th place overall was where the winner ended up of that initial A race. So we'll keep an eye on that as well, because that Levan Kvaratskhelia has kind of posted a target time, if you like, 56.20, even if we know many of these well capable of beating that indeed. We actually have the whole podium from the Games of the Small States of Europe involved in this, and the winner there in Andorra in May was Ivar Jasanarsson, who we're looking at here from Iceland. Over to Jovan Stojovski, the holder of 6 national records or national best performances, including 300 metres. Eloy Vieira, one of the Andorrans who's doubling up here, 3-time national champion. David Friedrich also has won 3 titles in Luxembourg, 2022 up until last year. And Andrea Ercolani Volta of San Marino, who was first in the 3rd league back in 2017. Livio Ciobanu, and he's inside, the 18-year-old from Moldova. And despite being a young teenager, he did actually get national title outdoors last year over this event, and then 60 metres indoors he won the Moldovan title as well. So that's the lineup for this second race. Big personal best for the Georgian, and just maybe we'll see similar sorts of improvements across this field then. So Ciobanu, Ercolani Volta, Friedrich, Vieira, Stojovski, Jasanarsson and Pace. Well, we were talking about how there were some marginal moments where the recall gun sounded. That was fairly clear, at least on this near side. Ivar Kristin Jasanarsson of Iceland, one of the athletes who would want to take maximum points. And Rob, I think it was his infraction there. We'll wait and see what the officials say, but that was clearer.
And he would be hugely disappointed with that. 32 years of age, 11 times the national champion. He's been a brilliant 4 hurdler and 4 flat runner. But the tension grows once more here, and hopefully they'll iron out these difficulties. Oh, it's faulty rather than false. Everybody survives to race again, Alex.
Yes, and I think we see that sometimes when it's clear early movement, but very early in the start phase. So, you know, not judged to be anticipating the gun, we say, but more a case of slipping out the blocks and not waiting that extra moment. In any case, yes, green card, and we continue with all of the athletes, all 7 of them in this lineup. And it's kind of also the right number, so expecting to see 16 athletes in the 2nd and 1st division, but here with 14 in many events and 15 in some, it means in an event like the 400 hurdles, we don't have to use lane 1, and that is kind of more helpful when you consider the draw, and no one has to be on that tight inside line. I think it
On your mark.
is helpful for the athletes, especially when you only get one crack at it. It's not like there'll be a final, as there used to be heats and then finals. Of course, we used to have different numbers though of divisions. We had one more division and therefore smaller amounts of teams within. So here we go. Second time of asking to get this race underway. Ciobanu, Ercolani Volta, Friedrich, Vieira, Stojovski, Jasanarsson and Pace.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost as though, as we hear the crowd groan, that there is an issue that's coming up time and again.
Well, Alex, it's easier for the non-commentator to cast their eye over. My eye was drawn to Ciobanu moving very, very quickly on the inside in 2. I couldn't definitely see an infraction, but it looked bottom left of picture. I don't know if we get a chance to see that again. It looked like he got away extremely quickly, but once again, it's faulty rather than false.
Yeah, interesting. Well, Chobanu, one of the youngest athletes in this, born in 2007. He's 18 years of age, so yeah, I'm sure very keen to get underway and make the most of this international opportunity. There he is in the blue Moldovan vest. He has a personal best of 55.86. Possibly just testing the starting equipment there. And making sure that the blocks are in the right place. So you're watching live coverage then of the European Athletics Team Championships third league here in Maribor in Slovenia. And this is the first of 2 days of action. We are now a couple of hours into the program, having started with a men's hammer and then men's long jump. Those are the first two field events before the track action got started with the 400 hurdles. We've seen Hilmar Orn Jonsson get the first set of maximum points for Iceland. It's pretty hot weather in Maribor, good conditions for sprinting, and that's replicated with the fire on the socks of Jordan Pace, the Maltese athlete. And you have to remember that, like I was saying about his international teammate, a lot of athletes from some of these countries very much used to competing on home soil. Places like Marsa, the home track, which has hosted events like the Games of the Small States of Europe.
On your
But
mark.
to get this opportunity at the European Team Championships really is a big coup for some of these athletes. Pace, who's 20 years of age and based in Dingley at Savio College in West Malta. Personal best this year of 54.53. Let's see then if we can get this race underway at the third time of asking. Watch out for Jasanarsson of Iceland. He goes from lane 7.
Dead.
Well, not if we start like that. There was clear early movement there from Jasanarsson, and possibly as a result, other athletes pushed into reacting as well. Stojovski on his inside. I think we've only seen a green card to this point. It was interesting that before, Rob, we'd seen one yellow card to one athlete, and therefore I wondered whether that was considered a warning to everyone else, because by the time that Pesic was shown a card, it was one yellow and then a red, sort of signifying that a warning to one was a warning to everyone else.
Well, and then a red that was
Yeah.
overturned
Yes, indeed.
because he was allowed to compete, and it looks at the moment as though his result for finishing second, having been beaten on the line by Karatskelia, stands. So it's faulty rather than false again. My goodness me. Let's hope it doesn't take this number of attempts to get the rest of our sprint races started, or we'll be here till midnight.
Yes, I mean, you were mentioning that in broadcasting you never commentated, I think, on the European Team Championships. Well, you probably might say, Rob, that you've never seen, let's say, 6 attempts to start 2 consecutive races.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's amazing what you see in athletics. I think when I did Hengelo for the Continental Tour
On your
Gold
marks.
a week or so ago, I saw a false start in a women's 3,000 steeplechase for the first time. So, hey, every day's a school day in this sport, which is why we love it. The #1 global sport, and it's the continent's best here. Desperate to get going in this second heat of the men's 4 hurdles. All yours, Alex. Let's get them away this time.
Yes, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. 1 lap of the track with those hurdle barriers to negotiate for these athletes.
Set. No.
Well, it's hard to find the words, I have to say. It looked like early movement potentially, and the camera focusing in on him in that navy vest, the Andorran Eloy Vieira. But, I mean, it could go on forever, really, unless the athletes maintain their discipline and the officials are sure that there's no fault.
Of Georgia. Meanwhile, surely this time,
On your
surely.
marks.
Let's wait and see then, shall we? Chobanu, Ercolani Volta, Friedrich, Vieira, Stojovski, Jasanarsson, and Pace. Moldova, San Marino, Luxembourg, Andorra, North Macedonia, Iceland and Malta, all involved, all desperately hoping to get underway. The Georgian Kvaratskhelia obviously winning the first heat. There we are. What a relief, eh? 56-20, that victory a moment ago. It was a big, big personal best for the Georgian, and hopefully this one will be another great battle. You can see interlock there in the centre. We've got Vieja and Friedrich, and then on the outside, as expected, going well in the blue of Iceland is Ivar Jasanarsson, the only athlete who's ever gone sub 52 seconds, and he's also done that this year as well. So he will be expecting to follow what Jonsson has done in the hammer. But look at this, the battle with the Andorran here. So Andorra obviously getting the victory in the women's race with Dunja Vinyals, and this is very close. Jasanarsson trying to come through on the outside and does. Oh, fantastic battle between the two athletes. And, well, Vieja has got a personal best as a reward for a really brave performance against what was on paper an athlete nearly a second faster. Very impressive from the young Andorran. But in the end, Iceland do take maximum points through Jasanarsson, Rob.
Good race that. And Friedrich really played his role from Luxembourg, because I think Via Escalano could sense that the Luxembourg athlete was putting him under pressure. And Jasanarsson needed to show all his class just towards the end to overhaul his Andorran rival. So, watch the figure third from the right-hand side. I know he's not leading at the moment, but Friedrich started to close the gap on the Andorran, who has that really distinctive forward lean. So pretty close here. The man from Luxembourg tried to close the gap on the smaller Andorran outside him. But here, the Andorran began to rock and roll just a fraction. Still a wonderful run and deserved his PB, but Jasanarsson came through second from the outside in Karsten Warholm's favoured lane. How many times have we seen him win a Diamond League and a Continental Tour and a global title? Jasanarsson almost shouting at himself there as he just came through on the line. Cracking race from the first two. Good running by the Andorran, but just had to play second best to the pre-race favourite.
Yes, Jasanarsson, who describes himself as a track and field engineer. I believe he's an expert in sustainable energy. He certainly had the ability to sustain himself at the end of that race to overcome Eloy Vieja by a tenth of a second in the end. It was 52.32, the previous PB of the Andorran.
Hi, I'm Nadia Batogritti. Sign up now to the European Athletics YouTube channel.